Oh, Brian is on there.
All right, good evening. I welcome everyone. I call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Hopkinton Select Board for October 21st, 2025 is being held both in person and remotely using the video conference platform Zoom. Select Board member Brian Herr will be participating remotely, and all other members of the Select Board are present for this meeting at Town Hall, room 215-216 in person. At this time, I'll ensure that the Select Board members participating remotely can hear and be heard. Brian, can you hear me?
I hear you guys fine. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
The public has the option of attending in person here at Town Hall or via Zoom using the link posted in this meeting's agenda. This meeting is being recorded. All votes will be taken by roll call vote. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So tonight we will start with public forum. Each person will have 2 to 3 minutes to speak at public forum. Please start by stating your name and address. Is there anyone present that would like to start? Please go. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I didn't want to yell. I said we're on the agenda tonight. I think we're first up anyway for the one-day alcohol permit.
Oh yeah, so this is public forum.
Oh.
Yep, so we're going to start with anyone that has that. Yeah, we'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome.
Thank you. Karen Crum, 12 Joseph Road. I went through hours of previous police chief reviews today, and I honestly feel like the only other person that's ever done this is Marielle Kramer. It made it feel like every time there's a new select board, it's like a clean slate. Because when I went through the previous reviews, I no longer hear anything about body cams. I no longer hear anything about the GPS. And I hear the same first goal all the time, which is succession plan. So it seems like that's more of like a police chief responsibility, part of his job, rather than a goal. It's something that is worth doing, but I would like to point out that on February 8th, of 2024, Hopkinton Sergeant Tim Brennan was terminated for not following a policy violation. Tim Brennan protected a sexual assault and rape victim who was an adult at the time she confided this in him. He assisted her in reporting her allegations the correct way, which ultimately led to former disgraced Deputy Chief Jay Porter being found guilty of 3 counts of felony child rape. He was sentenced on June 23rd of this year for a minimum of 7 years. Thanks to Tim Brennan, we no longer have a child rapist in our police department. On the other hand, we have a current police chief, Joe Bennett, who has been our police chief since 2020 on our police department for far longer, who allowed a business owner to continue to renew his license year after year to run Hiller's Pizza in Hopkinton by ignoring Sysmanis's criminal record and previous allegations of sexual assault and rape, all that he had access and obviously knowledge of. The police file on Sysmanis is troubling. The fact that the head of our public safety allowed this is unacceptable. There are so many things in our current police department that have no longer been looked at, as if they've just stopped. I have here to hand out to you the letter that 6 sergeants signed to let the select board know that they had concern or no confidence in the police chief. This was signed by our current deputy police chief. I also have a FOIA here that was never responded to, asking about the current state of our accreditation that we lost. We don't have it anymore. Why aren't we accredited? I would like you to find out, is the reason we're not accredited because Jay Porter, now in jail, password protected all the accreditation documents so no one else could get them? Is that the reason? Because that's what I have heard from a current police officer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who else would like to come up and speak?
Back. How are you? Stephen Snow, 78 Pine Island Road. So, a lot's happened since I've spoken last, but I was afraid to speak because this town seems to have a lot of retaliation, especially with the police department, but also retaliation. The building inspector had to sign my occupancy permit for the house I rebuilt after a fire. Now, I had to do everything that any contractor would have to do. There was no streamlining. Mr. Cadillac and Mr. Shepherd waived me having to get sprinkler license and sheet metal license and mechanical license because I held all of those professional licenses already. They were basically trying to streamline it because I was recovering after a house fire. But our new building inspector did not do that. And he's held me over the coals on everything. And he just over-scrutinizes everything and was very unhelpful. That being said, the next thing that I wanted to bring up is we've had a lot of friggin' mistakes in this town with people making mistakes. We had a nurse pull a fire alarm and she was not scared. She was pissed off. It's a crime. There was no crime. Everybody just gave it a mulligan. You're all set. We had a select board member out a rape victim, no charges. We had a police chief out a rape victim, no charges. We had a building inspector that's incredibly book smart, but I don't think he's ever pounded a nail. Let a building collapse into the middle of downtown street. The only thing that kept people from getting killed was the state sign there that got the crap bent out of it. It's wrong. Well, my question to the select board is, do these people, when they make a mistake in town, I don't care if you don't charge the nurse with a crime, but you need to put something in their personnel record that they screwed up. Something to come back on when they come back at you looking to sue you or looking for a problem. That you say, no, you screwed up. We let you stay. Same thing with the chief. No, never a public apology, nothing. It's ridiculous. So my question is there personnel file? And I don't want to look at personnel files, I could care less. But it should be known, and it should be a letter in the file. I know when a cop screws up, they usually end up with a letter in their police record, or they get to post and then they don't work. But that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Who else would like to come up and speak? Come. Welcome.
My name is Michael Riley, 201 West Main Street. I just want to address, Walter Garland is going to be applying for the Conservation Commission. I just want to give my support for him. I've known Walter for several years. I was on the Board of Appeals with him, but I've known him personally. I think he's an excellent candidate. He's very concerned about the environment. He's very concerned about on the Board of Appeals. He did his due diligence. He was very aware of what the rules and regulations were. I just think he's an excellent candidate, and I think he'll be a great addition to the Conservation Commission. That's all I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Would like to speak next?
Good evening.
Welcome.
Sabine St. Pierre, One Woody Island. I'm also here just to say that I'm in support of Walter for Concom. I'm the current president of the Lake Association, and he's been on our board. I've known him since he moved in, and he's always been very conscious of lake health and very diligent. And as Mike just commented, he's been on other boards as well. So wanted to do that. And I also wanted to thank you for really vetting the different law firms for town council. And I was overjoyed to hear that you did not continue with Harrington Heap, because as a town, we're in a heap of trouble, and I think that we are going to be better off. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come up and speak? Amy, can you check Zoom? See if anyone's on there. Up.
There are no hands raised.
Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
John Laskowski, Hopkinton Child Safety Coalition, 15 Lorne Drive. Look, I think when I look at you and we've talked in the past, you're the executive team for this town. And many of you bring all kinds of experiences from your private world. You work for companies, you work with private companies. And I'm sure you've navigated high stakes issues in those companies many times. And here we have 3 public safety issues that just seem to linger for months. I've just heard a couple more. We have the Hillers to Crust Pizza transition, transparency issues with the police department, a slew of Vic license issues. And I just have to ask, if these issues were in your company today, how quickly would all you guys act? Because I'm sure there's a board there that's going to demand you to do investigations that are going to be swift and exhaustive. I think they're going to ask you to do a communication plan from day one. I think they're going to have this root cause, never again attitude that's going to rule the day. But when we're here, it's like crickets. I mean, actions are at a glacial pace. I mean, we've been here since August 5th. Before that, there's updates are sparse, transparency's lacking. Ownership seems to always be deferred to a town council script that we get read to. Many of you have deep roots in the community. Some of you know the history of all these issues firsthand. Many of you ran on transparency and openness and accountability for the town when you ran for these offices, some of you that are new. All we're asking for you is to lead as a team. Take ownership of this stuff. Okay? Investigate thoroughly and vigorously. Communicate to the community what you're doing. Okay? Make the tough calls and prioritize the community's safety. You know, it's like, and I just want to ask, can we make a shift starting today to demonstrate courage over action? Courage over caution, I mean, and action over excuses. Act as a unified team, do what's right for Hopkinton. You know, we're here to help, you know, whether it's through input, resources, or collaboration. We all just want this to get behind us. And all I ask is to see some updates in the near future on all these topics, because it's just been silence. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi. My name's Alyssa McGinty, 35 Parkwood Drive. We understand and appreciate, sincerely appreciate, the board is beginning a review of the licensing process for the town, information about which was included in this evening's agenda package. It's clear that the board wants to develop a best-in-class process. The first step in the licensing process, whether a new license or a renewal, is a license application, which provides the town information with which to screen the applicant. This document can help the board meet its standard of excellence in several critical ways. First, a comprehensive application ensures regulatory compliance by holding business operators accountable to all applicable state and local laws, and enables the town to uphold and enforce its own ordinances. Equally as important, information gathered through the license application enables the town to protect the community's integrity and reputation by preventing unsuitable operators from obtaining a license. Lastly, a thorough and well-drafted application insulates the town from liability or negligent action claims if a business should later cause harm to residents. Since the last meeting, we have researched and reviewed the license applications in many surrounding municipalities. And as a result of that process, it's clear that Boston's application is really the gold standard for thoroughness and transparency. When it comes to public safety, I think that we all agree our children deserve a gold standard. A comprehensive license application, which follows this example, will provide the town with a thorough understanding of exactly whom it is licensing to do business in Hopkinton, and equally as important, will serve as a demonstrable example of the board's commitment to integrity, transparency, and public safety. I'd like to give you a copy of the application.
Thank you. Anyone else for public forum?
There's no one on Zoom.
Anyone on Zoom? All right. With that, we will move on to the consent agenda. So the Select Board will consider the following consent agenda. A special temporary alcohol license, trunk or treat. Consider approving this for Kelly Dow on behalf of RE/MAX Executive Charitable Foundation for a trunk or treat to raise money to directly fund local families in need. The event is to be held on October 29th, 2025, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Resilience Fitness located at 45R South Street. The alcohol will be served by tip-certified servers. The Select Board will consider accepting a donation of $200 from the Hopkinton's Women's Club to the Hopkinton Public Library to be used towards creator space expenses. And the Select Board will consider confirming the town manager's appointment of Michael Pontremoli, part-time van driver for the Senior Services Department. Mr. Pontremoli is being promoted from substitute driver. So I'll start. Does anyone want to break anything out or?
I think we might want to break out the trunk or treat.
Yep.
I was going to ask the same.
I just want to thank the Women's Club for their contribution and also welcome Michael Pontremoli. I move the motion.
Okay. To break it out? So I heard two things.
Requested, yeah.
What's that?
So he just was about to make a motion, but I also heard we were going to break something out, so.
If we could break out item A.
Please.
Yep.
If we could break out item A.
Yep. So instead of approving the whole consent agenda, there's been a motion to break out item A. At all?
No?
Oh, yeah, it's not right.
All right. We'll enunciate with feeling.
Can you guys hear us?
Hello, hello. No?
I can hear you guys fine.
Thanks, Brian. All right. So would the trunk or treat applicants please join us?
Should we approve the other two real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to-
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'll take a motion to,
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda items B and C.
Second.
okay, there's a motion and a second. Any comments from the board?
Nope.
All right, this will be roll call vote. Amy?
Amy Ritterbusch, yes.
Matt Kesner, yes.
Treasurer Manon, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
Joe Clark, yes. That is unanimous. All right, welcome. So you're here for trunk or treat. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name is Carissa Whitbread. I'm with RE/MAX Executive, and I'm secretary of the RE/MAX Charitable Foundation.
Perfect.
I'm Jean Barry, and I own the Black Harp Mobile Irish Pub and Bartending Service.
Awesome.
So the RE/MAX Charitable Foundation is a 501c3 organization that's been in place since 2009. Since its inception, we have supported 425 local Hopkinton area families and granted almost $475,000 in grants. We do fundraisers to raise this money that we provide the grants for. Some of the examples of the grants that we've provided recently was a mother that was lost during childbirth and left her husband with 2 newborn twins, a house fire where the home burnt to the ground and the family was left with nothing, and a single parent that has diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So these are catastrophic crises that these families face, and usually their friends or loved ones reach out to the RE/MAX Charitable Foundation for grants. In order to provide these grants, as I said, we do fundraisers. One of the fundraisers we're shooting for is next week, October 29th, here in Hopkinton. It's a trunk or treat. So it's from 5:30 to 7:30 at night. We've raised money through sponsorships of local Hopkinton businesses where we're spreading awareness for those local Hopkinton businesses. Some of the businesses are Resilience Fitness, Rapskillion Restaurant, restaurant, Q4PT, the donut stand, Beaumain, Posh Pa, Bill's Pizza. So well-known, reputable, well-liked Hopkinton businesses are sponsoring the event. We're giving out a trunk or treat goodie bag. So they trick or treat with a goodie bag, and in the goodie bag, there's going to be swag from those sponsors. So it's going to be beneficial to the Hopkinton businesses as well. So it's a family event where kids will be trick-or-treating and collecting candy. We'll also have games like a ring toss, guess the pumpkin's weight, face painting, temporary tattoos, and it'll be a networking event where these local business owners will be here to hand out coupons and flyers and brochures for their businesses. In order to make it a fun and interesting event for the networking and the adults and also the children involved, and really make those 2 hours the most fun, we thought in addition to doing the games and the trick-or-treating for the kids, also having the traveling pub would be fun as well. So I'm going to hand it off to her for that part.
Sure. So it's a mobile Irish pub, and we will be doing some, we'll be doing Guinness, obviously, because we're Irish, but we'll also have like some pumpkin beer and things like that. There's no shots, there's none of that craziness. I've been in the bar industry for over 30 years. I've taught the TIPS training course. I am TIP certified. I will be the bartender on duty that day. I do have staff that work for me, but for this event, it will be me. All of my staff is also. I am insured. I have $1 million liquor liability and general liability policy, and everyone will be carded, and the area, I believe, is roped off. So there won't be alcohol, just willy-nilly all over the place. It will be contained to that area. And if you have any questions about anything, I'm happy to answer those.
So we walked the property, and the way that you pull into 45R where Resilience Fitness is, and it's a long, straight, narrow parking lot for all those businesses. Resilience is at the very, very end. Yep, you can pass that around. So the parking will be in front of, as you drive up that main drag, the parking will be there for people to park their cars. Then there will be a welcome table, a check-in table that will be fully roped off by caution tape. And then behind that welcome table, that'll be pedestrian access only. That's where the trunk or treat cars will be, where they're decorated to hand out the candy. There'll be 20 trunk or treat cars. That's pedestrian only, so that's fully roped off. That's the section where the kiddos will be. Then you walk straight back, and if you go left behind Resilience Fitness, now you're completely behind the building, that will be separately roped off for where the harp is. So it will be, there'll be a separate area where people park their cars. There will be a roped off separate area where pedestrians are trunk or treating, and then behind their building there will be a separate roped off area where the harp will be. So it'll all be very separated for safety.
Awesome. I think it sounds like a great activity, exciting cause too. So I'll open up to the board for questions, comments. Amy, you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. So the area where the bar will be, if children will be there with their parents, and the parents might go into the bar area, but the kids will not be able to go in the bar area. How will that work?
No, I think anybody, just like any sort of a farmer's market where you've got a beer stand or anything like that, parents obviously will be able to bring their children over there, because we wouldn't want kids to be left just unattended and with no parent. So, but obviously nobody without a valid form of ID will be getting served.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that separates the area is going to be like a little caution tape and some cones. On one side of the caution tape will be the traveling bar, and the other part will be the games and activities, temporary tattoos, face painting, that type of stuff.
The roping it off was more to make it be like, like a roped-in beer garden kind of an area, just to signify where the alcohol was.
Okay. And the cars will not need to go past the kids area. Everybody will stop and park before they get to the roped-off kids area.
Right. It's fully pedestrian only for the trunk or treat, and fully pedestrian only for where the traveling harp is. That's very easily, it'll be completely. It's impossible. The way we'll have it set, it'll be impossible to get a car past the check-in table.
Okay. All right. I think that's all my questions.
So thank you. first for the work in the community and for the creative idea. I'll be honest, this one is tough for me. You don't often get to bring a lot of nuance to these, and I'm really struggling because I'll absolutely admit that my kids have been to the bar. They have absolutely been there when I've had a drink and had a meal. I won't stand in judgment. But I do echo the concerns of both the fire chief, whose concerns you do seem to have addressed in terms of the roping, but also the deputy police chief. We are knowingly facilitating an event in which children in a state of being overexcited, unattentive, and sugared are going to be in the presence of alcohol. I trust your training. I trust the business model. This isn't the first time that you've done this. I can respect the insurance, and I appreciate the way you were speaking with accountability and leadership here. There's been absolutely no deferral from either of you. But I have to acknowledge that it concerns me a little bit. I think it's one I'm going to choose to not stand in judgment of. There are some businesses I would find to be distasteful, but we are not the morality police. We have actual police. And from the perspective of the actual firefighters and police, you seem to have satisfied the expectations of what is needed to maintain the safety. I just ask for your caution and your vigilance. This does have the potential to go wrong, but the cause is a righteous one, and you are truly trying to do good work in the community, and I do not want to dissuade you at all from being creative on our behalf, so thank you for that.
If I could just for one sec, if this makes you feel any better, I did just do an event identical to this the week before last in Holliston. Very similar thing. It was a farmer's market setup, though. The pub was there because I do the Holliston Farmer's Market every Tuesday. And so the pub was there, and all of the vendors were, they were giving out a bag similar to what they do, where the kids got a bag to trunk or treat. And so they trick-or-treated all of the vendors. It was a 4-hour event. We had absolutely no issues whatsoever and quite a good turnout. So if that alleviates your nervousness at all, it has been done recently.
It does. I always appreciate hearing from a neighboring community. Then my last note for you will just be a friendly one. If you don't want to get sassed, Hopkinton. They get really specific about the Hopkinton.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I want it to be a successful event for you, and someone will definitely say something to you.
Shidul?
Yeah, no, thank you for organizing this. Sounds like a wonderful event. I'm sure the kids will love it, and all the parents and organizers as well, and it has a lot of community benefits. So thank you for bringing this. My questions and concerns are similar, and I think you answered most of it. One is that you'd be, you're a professional bartender, and you'll be manning the bar, so that's great. And the time would be the full time, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m.? Okay. And I think everything else, as I hear, and it sounds like you have it planned and have done it before. So I feel like we're in good hands, but of course, a word of caution, like anyone else. Thank you.
Awesome. Brian, thoughts, comments?
I'm all set. Sounds like it's well planned. Thank you.
Perfect. I'm all set as well. Thank you both. I appreciate the diligence you guys put into this.
Thank you very much.
So with that, I will look for a motion from the board.
I move to, this would be the same.
Yeah, you could just,
I move to approve the consent agenda item A as mentioned in the agenda for today's meeting.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second, so it'll be roll call. Amy?
Amy Erdabush, yes?
Matt Kisner, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes?
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
And Joe Clark, yes. Thank you guys for coming in this evening.
Happy haunting.
So next, we are going to get an update on the 50 Hayward Street dangerous dog issue. So the Select Board will consider receiving an update from the Animal Control Officer regarding the dog known as Thor, residing at 50 Hayward Street, who is determined to be a dangerous dog as defined by Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 136A and 157 at public hearing held on September 23rd, 2025, and the imposed remedies of humane restraint and use of non-retractable leash with a tensile strength of 300 pounds and not exceeding 3 feet in length, and to determine whether any additional remedies shall be applied as allowable by the statute. Is our Animal Control Officer here to join us? Come on up. Welcome. So thanks for coming back. This was about a month ago. So I think at the time, we talked about putting some of these things in place and just seeing if the owner of the dog was, in agreement, making sure the rest of the residents on that street are safe, so.
So far, the gentleman has replaced windows in the house so that they no longer, he still has some crank-out windows, but they're not where the dogs are going to jump out of. They're like over the kitchen sink, over the, but they actually replaced windows in the house so the dog can't jump out the crank-out windows. They've fixed the back porch so the dog can't get out of the back porch if it's on the back porch. He has been walking the dog 3 times a day, as we've asked. Dog, I had one phone call. I can't confirm or deny. Somebody said the dog was out. Like I said, I can't confirm or deny. I went down right after we got the call, and there was no dog anywhere to be found, so I can't confirm that. According to the owner, he hasn't been out loose. Nobody's called to complain. He's doing everything that we've asked of him, up to this point. So.
Perfect.
I don't know where we want to head from here.
I'll leave it to the board to give comments and thoughts. I think, right now, I'm glad to hear there's been improvement, right? The windows was a big thing.
Yeah, he fixed, like I said, he's fixed all of that. They've done a lot of work to the whole house in general, but.
Yeah, I know there's costs associated with those things, so we knew it would not be an easy thing, so.
And he does want to put up a fence. I talked to him 2 days ago. It's just financial-wise right now, he can't, but he does want to put up a fence. And, he plans to in the future, but I can't say when, exactly he's going to do that, but.
All right. So, from my standpoint, progress is being made. We understand everything can't happen right away, but sounds like the dog's been on the leash when people see it out, so. Shadul, do you want to start with questions, comments?
I just want to say, my recommendation is, just before we even get started, is that I continue to monitor him. And, he's okay with that, so he knows that I'm going to be stopping in periodically, might be once a week, might be twice, might not be for 2 weeks, but he doesn't know, like I told him, there's not going to be any set time. I'm just going to check up on him. So just so you guys know that too, so.
And Elaine, that sounds in line, right? Perfect.
Yeah, no, thanks for the follow-up, and glad to hear the progress. And I like the follow-up that you are doing. I was going to ask for that let's continue to monitor, and time to time we'll check back in, or you let us know when you feel like. But sounds like there's been good efforts made, and it's progressing in the right direction. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, ball's in your court here, and kudos to you for sort of guiding us towards a solution that was right-sized for all parties. Let's keep at it, but I would say the only time I'm expecting to hear you back on this one is if it's continued good behavior and we're talking 6 to 12 months out, or if you see something that we need to be made aware of and we're not getting the support we want. But I don't want you to feel like you're being babysat here. You've had the right judgment on this one, and it seems like it's trending the way we're hoping for.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to hear about the improvements, and I'm comfortable with monitoring, but I assume if there were an incident where the dog bit an animal or something, then you would come right back to us. But as long as it's being under control.
I stay in contact with Lance on a regular basis on these, so.
Oh, no.
I don't know if he likes it or not, but he knows.
Yeah, but I'm very glad that he's taken steps to make it more safe, yeah.
Perfect. So did we need a motion for continued,
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Brian, any comments?
Sorry, yeah. One quick question, if I could, please. Have we heard anything additional, any other feedback from the woman that brought the issue to our attention last meeting?
Question. 53 Hayward.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went to stop in there, nobody was home, but could have been just, my timing, so. But I haven't heard.
So no further input from her?
I've had no phone calls.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
All right. I think then, kind of the continued monitoring is the next step, and we'll go from there.
All right.
So we appreciate you coming in tonight. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you.
Good evening.
You as well. All right, next, the Select Board will consider appointing Walter Garland to the Conservation Commission to a term expiring on June 30th, 2027. The vacancy was advertised on August 12th, 2025, and one application has been received. Is Walter here? Come on, join us. Yep, welcome. You can come have a seat. Yeah, we appreciate you making the time, so. So we obviously saw your application, but obviously, now that you're here, we'd like to give you the chance to just kind of introduce yourself and your interest in the Concom.
Sure. My wife and I have been residents of Hopkinton for almost 30 years. We love the town, and I have served on the Board of Appeals for a number of years. And it was actually something that I always wanted to do, was serve on the Conservation Commission, but it seemed like there was never a vacancy. So I was actually very happy to see that someone had left a spot for a new person. So I care very much about the town, care about the environment. I think I bring a level head to any conversation that the board would have, and would be honored to serve on the Conservation Commission.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll let the board, any comments or questions for Walter? You want to start?
Sure. I want to confirm that you're no longer on the Board of Appeals, right?
I'm sorry?
You're no longer on the Board of Appeals? Okay. And so, because I think you can't be on the Board of Appeals and any other board at the same time, because the Board of Appeals hears cases against other boards, right?
Not necessarily.
Not depending on the board, yeah. Okay. So if a conflict were to arise where something you had voted on the Board of Appeals, you could recuse yourself on Conservation Commission, correct?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Matt?
I love it. The president and ex-president of the LMPA come to support you as you join Concom, and you show up in a green shirt and a green vest. Town colors for the green job in town? Come on. Now, I appreciate that you are bringing your history of service. I appreciate that you have such a financial background. I know that's not something you would traditionally think of for conservation. I'm going to view that as someone who knows how to maximize the dollar of what they have. And I also appreciate that you're bringing a military service background as well. You are clearly someone who understands the value of hard work, and I am so excited you're willing to do this for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
Yeah, no, thank you for stepping forward. You have a great background, and certainly your enthusiasm comes out, and I'm glad to hear that, as you mentioned, you've been waiting, and now you got the opportunity. So fully appreciate and support, and good luck.
Thank you.
Brian, questions, comments?
It sounds like a great fit. Thanks.
Yep, I agree with what's already been said, so appreciate you applying, and look to the board for a motion on this one.
We're all naked with scripts.
I move to appoint Walter Garland to the Conservation Commission to a term expiring 6/30/2027.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We will go roll call. Amy?
Amy Ritterbusch, yes?
Matt Kisner, yes.
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
And Joe Clark, yes. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Walter. Thank you for your contributions.
Thank you.
All right. Next, the Select Board will consider authorizing the town manager to execute a permanent license agreement with the owner of 96 Main Street and 0 Main Street to allow the installation of bollards on the property at the Pleasant Street intersection as part of the Main Street Corridor project. Elaine, would you like to introduce this one?
Sure. So as you mentioned, it's part of the Main Street Corridor project, and as we've seen for months, there's been a line of orange cones in front of 96 Main Street, right at the Pleasant Street intersection, for kind of safety reasons, to alert people that there's something there so they don't go over the curb and so forth. So to make some protection permanent, the town has discussed with the owner the installation of a line of bollards there. And one of the issues there is that the base of the bollard is 10 inches wide. The town has 8 inches of right-of-way, so there'll be a couple of inches, 2 or 3 inches onto the property of 96 Main Street and 0 Main Street to install the permanent bollards. And so this license agreement would allow the town to install and then maintain those bollards over time.
Perfect.
For safety reasons.
Shadul, you want to start? Questions, comments?
no particular question, but from your evaluation and understanding and agreement, all the parties are on board and all the measures that needed to be taken has been kind of fulfilled in your view?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Matt?
Yeah, I always ask if there are abutters, and if there are not abutters here, we won't overrepresent concerns. For my clarity, though, just the bollards are here as a safety mechanism in the event that you're coming down Pleasant, and it's just to kind of like remind you at night so you don't drive into the business? Okay. All right. Sorry.
Also prevent people from leaving the business except at designated exit areas.
See, this is why I asked. I don't do the spatial well. Thank you. Sorry, I was asking about the geometry of the intersection and doing a bad job.
I think she meant, Amy. They didn't hear your comment,
Yep.
Amy?
Yeah, so I think it's also to prevent people leaving the 96 Main Street with their cars and only leaving at the designated areas where it would be safe, rather than at the Pleasant Street intersection.
I learned something. Thank you.
Brian, questions, comments?
No, I'm very familiar with this situation. I've worked with Main Street Service and the town engineering team as part of the corridor project work, and I think this is a great solution. Thanks.
Okay. I have no additional comments. It's pretty straightforward to me. I will look for a motion from the board.
I move to authorize the town manager to execute a permanent license agreement with the owner of 96 Main Street and 0 Main Street to construct, install, and maintain bollards on the property.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Shidul, we'll start with you.
Shidul Manan, yes.
Matt Kisner, yes.
Amy Ritterbusch, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
And Joe Clark, yes. All right, so next we're going to move to review the licensing and renewal process for the alcohol beverage license, the common vic license, entertainment, Class 1 and Class 2 licenses. So I think for this, the big thing I'm going to say, there's been a lot of conversation around this. This is a process-focused conversation. We will not be going through individual licenses tonight. That is not going to be discussed at all. We're going to go through what is the best path forward for Hopkinton from every time we do a renewal or a new license application. Are we considering all of these things that come into play? And, we've been given some input from different departments in town. Elaine, I'll hand it over to you in a second. We've gotten opinions from council on how to move forward with this. So I think to start, we can kind of show some of the background work that's been done. And then, from there, this is kind of open discussion. I don't expect this to be, a one and done conversation. I don't think we can solve this tonight or, make changes in one, 30-minute session. But I do think this is a priority. We are probably, 5-6 weeks away from when we start the renewal process or the renewal process for the applications in usually December, so maybe a little bit further.
We start very soon.
Yeah, so there's certainly a sense of urgency around this. So I think if we just kind of jump in, go through, and we can start with, or Elena, I'll let you, how would you like to start?
I can just quickly review what we received today from the building and fire departments about their parallel process. So they provided information on the process that they do. They reach out to, they reach out to all of the businesses. They complete a questionnaire. They provide inspection reports, a number of inspection reports. Those are reviewed by building and fire officials. They then conduct an inspection, and this all occurs on parallel with the board's process. They review for egress paths for obstruction and compliance, functionality of Knox box keys for building access, random checks of emergency lights and exit signs, verification of inspection tags for kitchen hoods and ANSEL systems, verification of inspection tags on portable fire extinguishers, evaluation of furnishings and decorations for code compliance, visual assessment of life safety systems, fire alarm and sprinkler for obvious hazards, and a general inspection of interior and exterior areas for potential fire or safety concerns, including excess storage or blocked electrical panels, proper storage of flammable or combustible materials, vegetation management around the building, clear access to fire department connections and hydrants, proper placement of dumpsters relative to the building, and verification that all required permits remain active. So this process can take a while, and there can be re-inspections throughout the process, and the inspection can take anywhere from 15 to 90 minutes, depending on the location for each site visit. And sometimes staffing, lack of staffing can slow the process down a bit. So in general, that's what they provided. The electrical inspector conducts a separate inspection to identify any potential electrical hazards as well. So that's what building and fire do as part of the board's process on an annual basis.
Perfect. Do we want to start with comments? There's different sections to this, obviously, we'll go through. So I want to start with questions for that now, for anyone from the board.
On any of it, or?
No, just on what she discussed, like she went through building, inspection, fire.
Okay, so I guess the questions I have related to that is I know we do them all at the end of the year, so it's a very busy time, and the fire department could be busy, and the building department could be busy. And yeah, and especially if something is wrong that they have to come back and check a second time. So how will we handle the contingency part if we do the renewals on contingency? That the inspections be complete, but then the inspections cannot be completed on time because it's so busy at the end of the year. I was just wondering if there's a way we can work around that.
Something for the board to discuss.
Okay.
They start in October, this process.
They start in October, but traditionally in December, they're usually, a lot of them are completely done, but there are always some that are not. And then we don't meet over the holidays typically, so we wouldn't meet again until early January.
Amy, could you speak up, please? We can't hear you all back here.
I think your microphones are working.
Yeah.
I don't think the speakers are working.
Oh.
Okay.
So we can't, so it's not being, so.
Okay. Could I ask everyone to try moving up to the front of, there's a lot of chairs. I apologize, the speakers aren't working, but we'll try and make do if everyone could move up. I want everyone to be able to hear.
I think that's all I have on the part that Elaine introduced.
Okay. So building, inspection, fire.
Yeah, it's going to be a generic comment for me, but I think what struck me is just the complexity of interface between just those 3 departments, and there are many more departments. You know, the previous applicant up here was talking about essentially, would you view this as a project and how would it go at work? To me, I'm hearing this as like a wildly complex and interfacing project that I'd want to understand if there were a central point of accountability or person, if we had like Sherpas is what we would call them at work, somebody to kind of like shepherd you through the process, and like Susie and Sally own those 4 and Jimmy and Janie own those 5. So I think one of the key things I want to be mindful of is that if we want people to be successful in this process, and we absolutely do, we have to make it easy and simple to follow. So I appreciate that. That sounded like a very thorough and well-documented checklist. I will want to review it against what we were given from Boston, which seems to be both very detailed and simple in presentation, which I like. But that is my main thought is, I think part of the challenge here is that we've been viewing this as isolated projects potentially working in parallel, but not necessarily in tandem conjunction. I wonder if there's an opportunity for us to consider that. That may help address some of Amy's concerns as well about level loading and timeliness of inspection.
Good. Shadow comments here?
Sure. Thank you, Elaine, for that walkthrough. I think overall the process sounds simple, but I think detailed process diagram of some kind with some of the detailed checkpoints, and I know there are a few documents. I'm not sure if there's a process document, but the steps are there, which is helpful. But anyways, I want to shed light on 4 items, I think, if I remember them all. Number 1 is we do Cody and Story check, but we don't do any other thorough background check like national background check of any kind or FBI check of any kind. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's one thing I would like to explore a little bit, and I think the town of Wellesley does that today. And I'm open for suggestions because some of the recent focus has been on that, so I want to make sure we cover that. Number 2 is this is for new applications, but for renewals we don't do. It's a separate process, and that's something we are going to review together. Because Cody and Story is not part of the new part of the renewal process. Is that? It is? Okay. So Cody, Story, and the whole process is also the same for renewal, or renewal is shorter, I would assume.
It's a little bit different depending on the type of license.
Okay.
Alcohol is very different.
Okay. But generally, Korean Story is performed during renewal as well, yearly renewal.
Right, so we're doing that now. We're starting that now.
Okay, that's helpful.
Can you clarify for which license holders we do that?
So we will be doing it for all of them now,
Yep.
except for the Metro West Regional Transit Authority, the municipal street license, which is a different type of license. It's not for an individual.
No problem.
Who's we here?
The staff, your staff.
Council.
Yes.
I think relevant that it's specifically not police, even though we're talking.
No, we do that here.
And it's a state database that you referenced.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So licensing authorities, their staff can have access to the Corey and Story portal.
And then in addition to the applicant, we would also Corey and Story any other managers of the business,
The
correct?
managers as well, yes.
And renewals too.
Yes.
No problem. Thank you for that clarification. And then the third one I wanted to reflect on, we don't have any digital process to manage it, right? Like a digital workflow or dashboard where we can submit it electronically, review it, and provide it electronically today?
It's in the works, so we do have a consultant on board for electronic permitting, and so it will be eventually part of that process.
That is something we definitely want to also focus on. Sounds like we're doing some consulting work. Glad to hear that, because I think that'll eliminate a lot of the confusion, I'm hoping, and also speed up the process, make it smoother. And speaking of that, my fourth question is, do we have any type of SLA attached to the process from both ends? That would also help farm up, how quickly we can move and how smoothly we can monitor. So for example, the beginning to end, that's hard to, a lot of dependency, I understand, but each of the major milestones, say the Corey Story will be done in 7 days, or all documents need to be provided by the applicant in 3 days. Those type of commitments help the full life cycle management.
So we don't have time limits like that, but we do have, for all of our alcohol licensees, they have to sign their application in the month of November. The ABCC requires that, so they can't sign it earlier, and they can't sign it later.
Yeah, that's something I would also encourage looking at, so we can have more certainty, and it'll help the business owners to process it with some certainty that's kind of critical for their business operations, I'm sure. Those are the key ones I have, and I'll, I think, come back with a couple more, but that's good for now.
Okay. Brian, you out there?
I am here. Thank you. I really like the idea of an online electronic processing and application system. You have to check the box before you can move to the next box. If you miss something, you can't, the application won't get approved. We use it at work. You go through a process for developing work and projects and so forth. I just think it would help us cut down on an occasional miss somewhere and put a level of discipline and certainty into the process. Thanks.
Perfect. So one thing we kind of moved from like the fire and, building inspection side. The police side was brought up, and I think this has been a really important one that we need to dig into. So, as Matt just had you clarify, the Corey and Story check is done from the town, right? So can you just give us, for like a level set, what the police department's involvement in the process has been historically?
Can I clarify? Because it's done through the town, but the town uses the state database, correct, for stories and queries, right? It's not, the Elaine is not individually looking up records, it's using the database.
I'm sitting right here, I still can't hear you.
Yeah, so this town staff is not just doing this independently. They're using the state database like all the other businesses, or all the other towns do. They're using the state database to look up quarries and stories.
Thank you, Amy. But just to clarify, that's done by Elaine?
Yes.
Your office, not the police department?
That's correct.
So again, the police is involved with the Corey and Story checks, right? Can you just, again, I'm looking for a level set so that we're all on the same page. What has been the police department's involvement in this process historically?
It appears to have changed over the years. In the past, there were inspections of businesses. And they've continued to step back from inspections of businesses that don't have alcohol, and they also have inspected businesses that deal with vehicles. So vehicle sales, those kinds of things. So in the last couple of years, it appears all they've inspected or looked at are alcohol establishments and the vehicles. So that leaves out a few of the restaurants that don't have alcohol. That's basically where that is. Yeah.
Okay. So I think, like, we as a board need to kind of understand that and talk about that, because, you know, there's kind of two sides of it in my mind. You know, one is what I'm hearing, like, is they don't need to be involved in that process if they're not actually, like, when we think about, like, police inspecting a place, like, what would the police be looking for? You know, to me, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, they're not coming in looking for wiring issues or something inside the building or safety issues. And then, so if they weren't doing that, you know, what could they possibly be doing? And I don't know from, like, I know the police have access to much more information than we do, you know, even beyond a Corey and Sori check. I think one thing I wanted to mention, you know, was new to me when we went through this recently was, you know, because it's relevant, obviously in town, from the sex offender thing, what was it? Like, level 1 doesn't show up in this process, right? Like, only level 2 and 3. So in this new process going forward, what can we ask of the police and what's possible? You know, because I understand there's certain parameters that everyone has to stay into. I know they can get access to information, but they maybe cannot share that information. So how do we kind of understand that and then take that and put it into the new process?
So if they do know level 1, they can't share that. That's the law. So
Okay.
they're not allowed to share that.
So legally, they can't share level 1.
Correct.
Okay.
And I believe also they can't share rumors and accusations if they're not there's no court record, or, is that correct?
That's correct. They're probably not going to come to a select board meeting and talk about a rumor that they heard about someone.
Yeah, or an accusation. Okay.
Matt's going to go first.
Sorry, Shadu. Pulling it back, I like the question you were asking, Joe, and I want to frame actionability. What is it fair to ask? What's it reasonable to ask? So I'm thinking objective information, but things that we haven't necessarily discussed, like have there been calls on that business? What are the tickets or the potential alcohol-related incidents coming out of a business that serves alcohol? But those are factual, those are dispassionate, and those are standard items that we can be evaluating. When we think about the quote-unquote character of the business, is it meeting the intention of the community? I think those are real pieces of factual, potentially non-protected information that we could be discussing and baselining against. And so we could say, okay, you got 3 calls, but there's 3 calls in a year, and we got to acknowledge that that's actually pretty good based on A, B, and C, or I don't know what the number is. I want to know. So I think that's where there's potentially an opportunity for us to get a little bit more fact-based without putting them in a position of sharing information that is potentially protected. Because in theory, all that is public response information as part of call log anyway.
You agree with that?
It's all available.
Yeah.
But just as a thought, and I don't mean that as a dictation, but to your point, we're having a conversation. But that's at least a place where we could be collaborating and making it feel more like there's a feedback loop between what is police seeing, experiencing, and hearing, and then what is being brought to us for evaluation and consideration.
Another piece of data that we get sometimes, if that's, or is it okay? Okay, sorry. Oh, is the last drink data. I think that comes from the state, and we get it periodically. If somebody gets arrested for a DUI, they have a record of where they live. But that would only apply to restaurants that serve alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you. Through the chair, I think these are good discussions. So if I summarize the understanding, we do the Corey and Sori from the town office. Police does some checks. We may need to understand a little bit more what type of check and what are the kind of threshold for those checks. And we understand that, what is it, tier 1 or level 1, as well as accusations and others are not visible or do not come up or are not admissible in some ways. And we also understand we don't do any national background check or FBI level check today. So as we look at the process, I think this gives us an opportunity. How can we farm it up, and where we need to farm it up, have that discussion and look at that opportunity. And second is also, it's not, it may be clear from a process perspective, but it's not very clear that the key domains that we have for kind of the process checkpoints, what are the threshold for that? So for example, at what point police or fire is probably more clear because of some of the fire related specific checks and state regulations. For police also, I'm sure there are, but it would be good to know that in the police department, these are the 3 or 4 areas that's being checked. And if one of those fails, it stops there, and that's the report we are going to get. For fire, these are the 4 or 5 domains that's being checked, or even the checkpoints. I heard some today. And from building inspection, and so on, from Board of Health, so that we don't need to go through the 50 checkpoint list that they may be doing, but at a high level, make it visible that what are the key domains that's being checked, and what are the points of failure potentially, so we know, and then we can stress test that that is sufficient to determine the qualification as well as the safety and all the good things that we want to be sure of. So I think looking at it a little bit microscopically with those key points would be helpful as we try to re-engineer the process. And a good step would be to understand those key domains for each of the major areas of evaluation and permitting.
Brian, thoughts, comments here?
No, I'm good at this point. I think you guys are doing a pretty good job dissecting this, so I'm fine. Thank you.
I did have another, if that's okay. So to echo, I think Shahidul's point, I would be curious what the cost would be to do a nationwide background check. I think it's a lot more expensive than the state one. So I would just be curious if that's something other towns do, or if we might consider adding that, and if it's cost prohibitive. Is there any way we could ask applicants to sign an attestation that they have not been arrested in the last certain number of years, or not arrested, but charged?
I think,
and then if they said they had not ever been charged and it turned out they were, then we would have a mechanism to have a hearing and potentially review the license.
I think every town of Wellesley does it, and they ask the applicants to pay for it.
But how prohibitively, do you know how expensive it is? Or I'd be curious to
No, I
find
didn't see the numbers.
Okay.
But another challenge there is also that came out is sometimes it takes months.
Okay.
So we have to also be cognizant of, how long it takes to process this.
It's a fair question. I think this is where I'd also love to be hearing from both the Chamber of Commerce as a potential collaborative partner here. So they have business resources and they're working in other towns as well. I'm of the opinion we're in data gathering, right? Like no information is bad information here.
As I see, we're a little on the low end of the fee range, so we could possibly increase it a little bit.
But I agree with Matt. I think it would be good to have some of the voices from Chamber of Commerce, and maybe also consult and do little research on other towns, how they're doing it. I know Linfield is doing something pretty creative. I can elaborate that another time. And also maybe include some of the business leaders if they have specific recommendations.
So I think that was kind of the next area I wanted to go. Elaine, we kind of, leading into this conversation, we look for feedback from our past and present council, as well as kind of neighboring communities. And can you guys kind of summarize what the feedback you got from, both sides of that was? And obviously tonight we were given publicly, the city of Boston's application. So I'd love coming out of this to kind of have a side-by-side comparison of where we can improve. But just in general, can you share what kind of you guys have found?
Yes, I think this discussion is good. Lynn did the research and looking at other communities in our area. And I think also looked at Boston as well. So he can fill you in on that a bit as well.
Yeah, so yeah, if you look at the spreadsheet that was provided in the packet, you can see some of the differences in surrounding communities and some other ones here. There's quite a bit of variability there in how different communities manage their process. I don't know if you're going to be able to read that from sitting there, but it's online. So, it is interesting to see, some areas, including Boston, actually require that the CV be issued before the food permit. So whereas we kind of, withhold our CV until the food permit is issued, we make it a conditional approval at times. Foxborough, Ashland, and Boston require that the common vicular be issued first. And then, the food permit is, issued after the common vicular. So it's different ways that it's approached, and there's a lot of variance in sort of the information requested. Some towns ask for a lease agreement, a copy, and different things like that. Foxborough seems to be the only one doing SORIs that I saw out of the research there. Some do CORIs. And again, this research I put together was specific to just to the common vicular new application without alcohol. So with alcohol, it changes things obviously that is mandated by ABCC, and renewals for most communities is a pared down version of the new application. So they ask for less. In our case, I think we've taken the stance now that there's going to be no difference between a new application and a renewal from here on forward. So, if anything, our renewal process is going to be a lot more robust than many others, I would assume at this point from what I've heard. I didn't have time to put together a renewal comparison table at this point because time was limited, so I focused on the new applications. This is kind of where a lot of the discussion has been focused, but so there's quite a bit of variability. And also in the interdepartmental review that you can see there in the last column about who's included and sort of checked on before it goes to the select board. So it's something to think about if there's any aspects of those that maybe we want to incorporate, but it's different ideas and different ways it's approached.
Perfect.
Interdepartment, there's no police included there.
The common vicular new application doesn't require a police sign off technically, because we do, and it isn't for any of them in the communities that I checked with, because we handle the CORI and SORI. The one community that did involve police was Milford, because their police department does the CORI check, whereas we do the CORI check here. And that was the only thing they commented on their application form, was the police would be CORI good, yes, no.
I thought that's interesting. Yeah, I see all the 7 towns, none of them have police in the interdepartment process.
I sent this to the communities as well. I pulled the information from their websites, and then I sent it back to their administrators for review, just to say, can you please double check this if you have time to make sure I'm not misrepresenting the information here. And most of them did get back to me. They were very cooperative. So I want to thank them for their cooperation putting that together.
Thank you for doing this. This is helpful.
So I think, like we said at the start, this is, we don't have a ton of time. This process is starting already with the renewals. But I think we want to see, what can we do in the short term, right? It sounds like there's a lot of things that are similar with the towns. I think we can, immediately, how do we compare just the application for starters, right? I thought that was good feedback. Matt, you made a good feedback on some of the data points that we could get. But I want from the board, what do we think are, the immediate priorities that we should focus on if we're going to make a change or an adjustment? Would you like to start, Amy?
Sure. So I guess I'm worried about the contingencies coming up and how we will handle that. If there's any way we could, if someone doesn't have their contingency because they're waiting on the building inspection and the building inspector is just overbooked, can we extend their license for a month so that we can, or would we have to have them stop or pull their license?
We're forming a list of questions.
Yep.
We'll seek the answers to them.
Great. So I think I'm worried about that because that is coming up soon, and there are always some with contingencies.
Matt?
Yeah, I continue to be concerned about just the CORI-SORI police interface and public safety piece of this. So that's number one. Number two for me, though, is more just from a leadership perspective. This almost feels like it's missing, I know we have an economic development officer. This almost feels like it's missing a full-time employee. And I don't mean that as a criticism, by the way, it's opportunity. I didn't understand the need here well enough, but there is so much overlap, so much coordination, and it is so clear how much the community is looking for, some standardization, transparency, and better understanding. I almost feel like we haven't set ourselves up for success here either. And I don't mean that as a criticism at all. I think we're learning here, and I'm learning we may not have all the tools we need.
So do you have is there a recommendation off of that for the short term, or is that more of a longer term?
In the short term, I would like to loop in economic development, because to me, this as much is a business activity as it is a public safety activity. I think we've all been very clear about wanting to better understand police Corey's story, but there's an economic piece and just a Chamber of Commerce piece as well. How does it feel on the other side? Not do you like it? Do you understand it? Can you navigate it? What support do you need? How can we make it easier to follow what we are asking for from you? It's got to be a two-way street, and I feel like the message we're getting from some community leaders right now is it is not easy to do what we are asking, and it's not always clear. Let's make it clear.
Okay, good. Shadul?
Yeah, I think we discussed it well, and this is a beginning. I agree with you. I like the idea that while we are exploring these options and few research work, maybe re-engineering opportunities, and also looking at a little more deeper background check options, it might be a good idea to auto-extend for a month or two, whatever makes sense, while we farm it up for the next cycle of renewals. We don't want to create like a limbo situation with the timing, and we don't want to rush too much to kind of ignore the ideas that we have at hand. That would be my recommendation as well. And meantime, I think it would be a good idea to build a little bit of forum with the various key stakeholder voices. We heard from various parts of the residents. We heard some of the business owners. I'd like to hear from the business community, including Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Office, to kind of see how we can firm it up, but at the same time smoothen the process, both new and renewal. And finally, would love to hear and see kind of a plan for digitization. All these combined, I think we can continue the conversation. In the meantime, act on some of the immediate need that we have, especially extending the time horizon.
Perfect. Brian?
Yeah, I do like that electronic application process. Push on that a little bit and see if we can't line that up. I know that is done elsewhere. I want to make sure that, to Mr. Manon's point, that we do have the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development involved. We can't make this so onerous that people pack up their business and leave. That would cause other challenges for the community. And we have to look at the entire community, not just one piece of the puzzle from one angle. And third, I guess, I want to make sure that, all this happens in a reasonable time frame. But again, the electronic piece would be the biggest thing for me. And one other thought, I guess, I'm all for doing as much Corey and story as we possibly can. But we got to make sure that we don't have any laws that we're overstepping in doing so. There may be restrictions on when you can and cannot do some of those things. We just want to make sure that we're not, I'm all for it, but let's make sure we don't violate any laws in the process.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, so I agree with a lot of this. I think it's a great starting point. I think, Elaine, my questions would be, one, we talked about the federal background check system. Is that feasible with the staff that we have now? Obviously, I think, they said there was a cost associated with that. Shadul mentioned that's been passed on in other towns to the applicant. But, if that's possible, I think it's a good thing to understand. I think the other thing that was said that was, important to call out was the talk around economic development and what that means to the businesses in town. And whatever we do, while I especially like the idea of our new applicants going through the same process as our renewals, giving a few caveats for new applicants, I think it's important that it's a streamlined process, and because it has to be fair for every VIC license holder. It has to be a repeatable process. We can't do one thing and not do it to everyone, so we have to keep that in mind. But if we can kind of prioritize some of these, I think I wrote down 6 or 7 things that we can look into and then quickly come back on. I think it's a good starting point. Anyone else? We good to move on? Or perfect. All right, so with that, we're going to conclude the licensing process portion, and now the Select Board will review its goals for FY '26. We've talked about this in the last 2 meetings, I believe, and so I'll read through. I think this is a draft, and tonight we're looking to, finalize them, correct? All right, so when we look, for goal number 1, we had balance the FY '27 budgets and capital plan while minimizing tax impacts and without the need for Proposition 2.5 overrides. Goal 2 was to ensure safe, reliable, and clean drinking water and achieve a standardized approach for setting municipal water and sewer rates. And goal number 3 was to prepare a strategic plan for the town, which will integrate the charter review process outcome. So, it's pretty much what we discussed last time, but, formalizing it, cleaning it up a little bit like we needed to. I'll kind of move to the board for thoughts and comments. Amy, would you like to start?
I think those 3 goals summarize what we discussed, so I'm okay with approving them tonight.
How they were written? Matt?
Actually don't have a comment. I think they're really well written.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you captured it all together very well. Thank you.
Brian?
I'm good as proposed. Thank you.
All right, so then I will look for a motion to approve the goals.
I move the motion to approve the goals as written.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Roll call. Amy?
Amy Ritterbusch, yes.
Matthew Kisner, yes.
Idle Manan, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
And Joe Clark, yes. All right, thank you, guys. And so that moves us on to the town manager's report.
Okay, thank you. To add to the Main Street Corridor project update, in addition to what I put in the memo, it's exciting that trees were planted today, so that's a positive thing. Received some pictures, didn't see them in person, but it looks great.
Yeah.
So starting in the Common and then moving in other directions. So Verizon plans to finish all the utility transfers by the end of October. Eversource and Verizon will coordinate with Amarillo to adjust their structures for paving. Amarillo is scheduled to be on site this week, and work will include curbing and sidewalk repairs on the west end of the project. They plan to complete the final paving on the west side of the project at the end of October. Mass DOT will inspect the intermediate course of pavement prior to final paving, and street sweeping will occur before final paving to ensure the road is clear. Driveway adjustments and repaving are planned for the 35 Main Street Hoyt Way entrance, and this work is scheduled this fall if time allows. The grade there needs to come down a little bit, and so that project will get underway when there's time, and one of the one-way entrances will be two-way during the construction. And the owner will coordinate with, the contractor will coordinate with the owner and the police department on this. Second, announcing the release of some executive session minutes. So the board's adopted policy is that periodically we review whether any executive session minutes can be released, and then those that we flag are reviewed by the town council and by the chair. So there's a group that have been released. Some of these were released before in a redacted form, and we can remove some of those redactions. So tomorrow we'll release August 2nd, 2022, March 14th, 2023, March 28th, 2023, January 30th, 2024, February 27th, 2024, March 26th, 2024, the ones that were previously released but redactions will come out. And then newly released ones will be July 12th, 2022, July 9th, 2024, September 17th, 2024, and April 22nd, 2025. Any questions about those?
Through the chair. Sorry, quick question. So do we expect the paving, going back to the downtown corridor, paving to be completed by end of the year? What is the plan for winterization should snow and others kick in?
So the paving on the west side will be finished by the end of the year. On the east side, that will be in the spring. So it will stay in the current condition that it's in.
So it'll be expected to be done like spring, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Prior to marathon?
Working around the marathon.
Around that time.
If it can't happen before, it would happen after, but not during.
How much
leading
sway
up to it.
How much sway do we have over whether it happens before? I am very mindful of what town looks like on town day.
Yeah, it's weather dependent, a lot of that.
Okay, I'll call God.
Yep, that sounds good. And Elaine, I think as we are getting close, we still have time. It would be good to kind of have a refresher of what are the key developments that we have done before and after, kind of give that picture and publicize it. So everyone kind of refreshes what improvement we are seeing and how it's going to benefit us.
Okay, sounds good. And then finally, requesting an okay to post a new position in Parks and Rec, and it's a Parks and Recreation Gym Supervisor, which is a part-time position. And that would be funded from the revolving fund that Parks and Rec has. And the position would support their mission to enhance community recreation and well-being by overseeing weekend operations within the school gymnasiums. So it's a part-time hourly position that would ensure that all weekend programs and community activities are conducted safely, efficiently, and in accordance with departmental and school policies. So the supervisor would serve as the on-site representative for Parks and Rec during the weekend gym use.
Awesome. So for that one, we do need a motion.
I move to authorize the posting of the Parks and Rec Gym Supervisor position.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call. Cheryl, you want to start?
Scheidelmann, yes.
Matthew Kisner, yes.
Amy Ritterbusch, yes.
Brian?
Brian Herr, yes.
And Joe Clark, yes.
Amy, you said yes today.
All right, so I think that was everything you had tonight. So then we will move to liaison reports and board invites. Shadow, what would you like to start?
Just one for ESBC 2. We have the groundbreaking event coming November. Let me give it I believe it's November 4th. So that's exciting. It's progressing very well. And they're connecting the utilities to the site and laying foundation. And the road work has been contracted out, no major issues. And as I was talking to the chair of the ESBC2, I think this is a good time. We invite the ESBC chair and the committee to come join us and give us an update and give us an overview of the progress and the challenges, if there is any. So I would request that to be in the future agenda, and also Elaine, if you can help organize that.
And so you said that was November 4th?
I believe so.
The same date as our next meeting, right?
No, it's on, but it's during daytime, I think around 3 o'clock.
Yeah, but it's the same, yeah. It's
Same day, right.
perfect. Matt?
Not a lot for me, actually. The only one I would want to just briefly share with the board is I had the opportunity to check in with Kyla LaPierre and Kerry Reed, as well as our engineering consultant at Abrams last week on the initial feedback on our newly adopted goal for standardizing water and sewer rates. Positive progress there. We've clarified what our intention is, which is largely to create a process by which there's always a percent retained earnings, essentially never allowing the fund to become insolvent again, and then trying to put a policy in place that supports that and enhances our decision making. So I'll come back to the board as I have more progress there, but excited that the initial work we have done shows it is a viable idea and it is something that it is possible to model and further develop, which I'm pleased with.
Perfect. Amy?
Yeah, I'm going to share that the MAPC fall meeting is next Wednesday in Arlington, so I'll be attending that on behalf of the board. And then it looks like the budget advisory group will be starting up again in November. We just got the calendar for that.
Oh, boy.
Brian?
I'm all set, thank you.
All right. I think we had a couple things. I think recently there was was Friday the skate park opening?
All right. I joined the event. It was very lively and well participated. Yeah, it was great weather too, almost 70. So fantastic new facility and kids were enjoying. It's a great addition to the town for sure.
As I ran into you on Sunday taking a ride with the kids at the fire station.
Yep, the open house was this Sunday afternoon at the fire department. It's always pretty well attended. They do a great job with it.
And every 5 minutes, they drove past my house going around the block with kids.
You're right on the turn.
Oh, I didn't even think of it.
Yep.
They waved.
No shortage of visits for you that day.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything else right now.
Veterans Day, right?
What?
Veterans Day?
Oh, the Veterans Day celebration, yeah, that's the 11th.
So the 11th, there's something in the senior center in the morning and the, at the Woodville Run and Gun Club in the evening.
So as far as select board coverage, I am out of the country that week, so I will not be able to attend.
I don't think I can attend.
I can plan to join.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy.
What time, Amy? I'll find out.
We had an email about it.
Yeah, we just got it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, we'll find it.
So 11 a.m. at the senior center and 6 p.m. at the Woodville Run and Gun Club.
Okay, thank you.
Joe, do you know if they're asking us to participate in that event?
I'd have to go back to the email, Brian. I'm trying to find it. I just found it now.
Did the vice chair say he was able to attend?
He did, yes.
I am. If you're interested, Brian, you can tag along or you can cover too.
Yeah, no, that'd be great if you could go as the vice chair. Thanks.
Sure, thanks.
So I think that brings us to future agenda items. I think in these next couple of weeks, we have several things. You know, we're going to continue the budget conversation. We've added some new ones like the e-bike. We've got center school RFP process update. So we've got a couple things coming up here quickly before the holidays. Was there anything else new we needed to add?
I think we'll add an update from the ESBC chair.
Right.
Got that one. And I think otherwise, was there anything on here from a cleanup standpoint that we wanted to take off? I'm looking at a few of these ones, and not necessarily to take them off, but to get an update. We have the Commission on Disability update, you know, that's certainly aged. Have we heard from them? Similarly, the LNG Oversight and Advisory Committee, those are both conversations from past that we, I don't know.
I'd honestly suggest similar for C. I mean, we essentially just picked new town council, and the transparency and redaction policy was a significant portion of that conversation.
I'm comfortable with C for sure. I would like to hear from the rest of the board. I think it's, yep, Brian?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't say anything.
And I think before we take it off, it's, you know, as we work with our new town council, like, it's going to be a priority, but not a select board priority.
Exactly.
Just to clarify.
Please don't hear that as a diminishment of it.
So we can take off C. I don't remember, was the LNG one?
We never had it. Yeah, we never discussed it actually. So we may, I don't know the current state of things. It might not be a bad idea to hear from the fire chief especially, and also from Eversource. We had that discussion, I think, almost 2.5 years ago. So it might be a good idea to have a little bit of refresher. The fire department used to do a yearly drill, I believe, and we can hear what's the outcome of the drill or if any recommendations.
So as of last fall, I know they've gone from like just an annual drill to they do monthly activities around there. There's a lot more smaller activities. So I think if we look for one of the next sessions, the fire chief is joining us, he can kind of give an update, and that I think that will help just give someone a better understanding of what they're doing on a regular basis. So I don't think we'll take that off for now, but we will have him come back. And then I do want to know who had the Commission on Disability update, because that one's been out there for a while.
Yeah, I had requested it because we have the new disability board forum for almost 2 years now, right? So it would be good to hear what their policies are looking like, their activities, and how we can help if there are challenges or particular things we want to focus on.
So I'm on the Commission on Disability, and they have not met in the last several months, so I don't think they're ready to present anything. So I don't know if you want to leave it on there. When they're ready, they can do it, but they're not ready at the moment.
Okay, if they're not ready, that's fine. I just don't want to take it off.
Yep.
They're planning on coming in the future. So. All right.
When you flip the page, F, redactions policy summer, we essentially just crossed off C for the same reason. And then G, the select board goals for the prior FY. We just approved the FY '27 goals.
Thank you, Matt. So,
Yeah, 3 down, that's good.
G. And I think everything else makes sense to stay.
What happens when the meeting doesn't go till 10? We do cleanup.
All right, so I think that covers it. I think I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right, roll call. Amy?
Amy Roderbush, yes.
Matthew Kisner, yes.
Eidelman, yes.
Brian? Did we lose Brian?
Oh.
He's on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
All right, Joe Clark, yes.
Thank you.
All right,
Have a
thank
good
you,
night.
everyone, for coming tonight.
Thank you.